I like to undersell and then overdeliver as opposed to the other way around. Maybe I would be better off if I was a bit more of a showman, but I try to stick to the things that we can make strong claims about that we can back up, as opposed to, I think there's a certain amount of people who are good at creative storytelling, and then you can decide for yourself, okay, where is the line between, selling the vision versus like outright fraud.
There's a fine line, right?
Yeah. So that's not necessarily my skill set as an engineer. I'm trying to okay, how can we make sure that our plan is grounded in reality? There's all these different goals that we want to achieve, longer term, 5-10 years from now. But day to day, I guess I got my thinking more tactically in the weeds on, okay, this is what we need to do to get to this next project figured out, or line things up for a next customer, or whatever the problem du jour might be.
So why did you decide instead of doing traditional fundraising to go the non-dilutive route?
Yeah, well, I guess it's a combination. One, without being sour grapes, it's not necessarily to the previous point, not a skill set that I have at the moment. Not even a skill set I'm super excited about developing. The way I've been thinking about it is, every minute I work on my pitch, or try to impress a VC, I'm probably just spent off building a better company. And then, instead of trying to, pitch a half-baked company, why don't we just get all our ducks in a row, and then once we've got something that's ready to scale, then we'll think about VC funding more readily there. So it's not been on my radar. We'll see how some of these things go. I've been, skillful enough as a grant writer that we've been able to get our first couple million of funding through that route. So it's been a good starting point, at least.
So who are you building your company for? Who's your so-called perfect customer?
Yeah, we've been going back and forth with this for a while. We've been, I think we've been making a mistake that we've been trying to be a bit too broad, casting our net a little bit too broad. So we're not necessarily, I can't go over to Tesla and say, hey Elon, I've got some software for you. They've already got teams in place that are handling the types of things that we're doing. But on the other hand, there's lots of smaller, I wouldn't say mom and pop, but smaller battery pack manufacturers for commercial or industrial applications. The type of company who's building batteries. They would like them to last longer. They want to make sure they're safe. They would like to invest more on the software side of things, but don't necessarily have the resources to build this out in-house. So that's where we're able to come alongside a company and be like a battery data science arm for them to help scale up their taking their batteries, which may or may not have super sophisticated telematics, and just adding more sophisticated capabilities for managing the life and performance of those assets.
So it's not like a lot of people that have an unrealistic expectation on the batteries, right? You might have your iPhone and you'll be on all day long watching videos, downloading stuff, and how's my phone on 10%? Well, you've done all this stuff on it, right? Mm-hmm. Is that anything to change, that just always be people have this unrealistic expectations about their batteries?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. A couple things. One is batteries are all about give and take. You make one thing better, you're going to make something else worse. That's where you're trying to design your battery. Okay, do I need a really high power battery for this application, or do I want it the battery that goes in a pacemaker is different from the battery that goes in a Tesla, is different from the battery that goes in these other things. So
hopefully anyway, right?
Right. So one aspect of it is designing to the specific application. The other thing is, as we add more energy density, the electrical engineers are always coming up with more ways to use that additional capacity to go and come up with cooler power electronics or different things on the electrical engineering side of things. So it's always a race between the people who want to do more with your phone or your laptop or whatever that is, and it's a race between the electrical engineers and the battery folks.
And do y'all have a predictive analysis platform also?
Yes, we're in the process of building that out.
How does that work? What's that going to do?
Yeah. So basically the idea is, okay, we're going to harvest the data coming off of your fleet of batteries, forklifts, scooters, whatever the application in question might be, get that into our platform, and now you've got a single source of truth to have visibility into how your fleet of batteries are performing. So.
And how you convince people that need this service?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'm not really in the business of convincing. It's more like we find people who have this type of problem and say, okay, here's a solution for your problem. This kind of goes back to the salesmanship. We find people who have the problem. I'm not trying to convince somebody who doesn't have the problem that they need this. If you want your batteries to be smarter, or you want your batteries to last longer, or you want whatever types of issues you may or may not be running into in your day-to-day operations, we can provide this extra level of analytics to go and step one, just get visibility into things, and then step two, provide recommendations for avoiding unexpected downtime and making the battery last longer.
And you might still be working on this, but I think a lot of founders, they struggle with like the business model, like how much to charge. How have you figured that out yet? Like what to charge these people?
I mean, it's not fully baked yet, but our main costs are headcount for the team, and then to a minor extent, a distant second place is the cost of monitoring things in the cloud. So, but no, it's the pricing is not robust yet, but it's such that as we get our first handful of customers on board, we're able to profitably serve them once everything's hooked up.
And you got these customers, is it based on industry, amount of revenue you have, or anything like that?
Yeah, I guess a good sweet spot, call it, not like Ford or GM or Tesla, those kinds of folks. They're a bit outside our wheelhouse right now, but call it 10 to 50 to $100 million in revenue, where they've got something going, pretty well, but yeah, don't necessarily have that data science piece in place yet that we can provide a little bit of extra emphasis on top of.
Can you walk us through like a scenario that you've done already, where like what your company is doing has actually helped another company get better?
Yeah, so I'd say how our process works. Step one is usually some kind of POC. Figure out, okay, how can we, especially prove ourselves to a given company. We're still relatively new to some of these market segments, so we're just trying to generate trust with our customers. So step one, some kind of POC to make sure that we can do something that they care about. So build a specific algorithm or build some specific infrastructure. From there, then we can take that algorithm and deploy it however they want. We're working on building out our own standalone platform, but a lot of these companies already have some kind of telematic solution in place already. So either use our own standalone platform or integrate our analytics into whatever system we've already got up and running. So they don't necessarily want a new dashboard per se. They just want, okay, here's where we've got everything we need here. We just want a couple extra key metrics off the battery to make sure everything is hunky-dory.
So, for example, let's suppose someone has a trucking company, have like, we'll say 300 trucks, right? Mm-hmm. And they come to us, hey, our battery performance of trucks is going low. Like, how would you improve their battery performance? How would that work?
Yeah. I guess, step one, that would be maybe design a POC just to look at the data and see what the data says. So maybe they're doing something weird with their routing, where they're getting too low into the depth of discharge, and now they're degrading the battery faster than expected. All different kinds of things could be happening. But the first step would just be, okay, let's look at the data, see what kind of issues we've been running into, and then that would either help us recommend, okay, here's the lowest hanging fruit that we can do. Maybe change the way you're charging the battery, keep it within a certain window, or if it's like a fixed route, that's kind of different from like a bus route. You kind of know where the bus is going to be going, versus if you're an Amazon delivery driver, then you could be all over the place. So those are a little bit different use cases there. But broadly speaking, yeah, step one, look at the data, see if there's anything that jumps out at us as far as, okay, this, 100 of these, you've got 100 of these trucks in your fleet. Maybe 98 of them are doing really well, but these two here, either the driver is, whoever's driving that is abnormally abusive to the battery, or there's some defect in either in the manufacturing QC, or could be any number of things. But yeah, that's where we come into step one, provide the visibility into what's going on, and then once we kind of triage things, then we can make recommendations from there.
And I'm guessing all batteries eventually die, right? Like, So when a battery dies, I'm guessing you're supposed to recycle it versus just throw it in the trash can. Is like certain places you're supposed to recycle batteries at? How's that work?